Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Jeremiah, Rachel, hello. How's everyone doing today? Happy Wednesday. You made it to hump day. We're halfway through. Congratulations. Oh, I was going to change. Hold on one second. I mean, it's true, but okay. I wish it was Friday, though. That's fair. I wish it was Friday, too. Oop. Okay. I think we all wish it was Friday. I know I do. So finally getting my car looked at, which is good. The one that lost its wheel while we were driving. Hopefully they'll pay for it. Hey Laura. Hey Minnie. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, it is good. Hopefully it will happen. I mean, it's not the end of the world. We actually lived with only one car for like a long time. A long time. So it's not like we can't function with one car. Luckily, my wife works really close to here, so it's easy to make everything work, but it's obviously more frustrating to have to like balance rides and things like that with two cars. So we'll see. We shall see. Hey Prairie. Good morning. So I posted the episode with Adam Dunnigan today. You should definitely check it out. It's a really good episode. Like, it's a really good episode, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, it's a really good episode. Did I watch the funeral? No, I did not. I need to at least watch some of the highlights from it, but I know I did not watch it. How did you watch it? Did they seriously play We Wish You a Merry Christmas? Are you Hey Care. Good morning. That is somehow I'm not surprised. Did they play YMCA though? Hey Lori. That's really the question. No, I mean Adam is good. Real question I have is, do we know who is in charge in Iran? Well, I don't think anyone is fully in charge to some extent. Based on my understanding of how how their system works. Like if the Ayatollah does not specifically order everyone, the IRGC kind of controls themselves and makes their own decisions, which is part of the problem. But which is one of the reasons you can't just win a war the way we're doing it. That's the problem. We cannot be certain who to negotiate with. True. I mean, there's also the problem of we have idiots doing the negotiating in general. You know, that's the other problem. Good morning, Jelly. Why would I get rid of it? It's my favorite hat. Morning, Patty. How are you, my friend? As usual, Mr. Slippers, thank you for confirming that you lack humanity. Jared and Witkoff are morons who have failed repeatedly. Yep. Yep. Morning, OC. Guys, if you're over here on TikTok, please tap that nose. It helps push out to other people. If you're over on the tube, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Oh, yeah. Actually, Mr. Slippers, I would argue you guys made MAGA a bad thing. On why the soldiers deployed at the border have to be out of pocket for their own food. Okay. If I get a chance to ask the Pentagon something, I will ask. Morning, Ambrosia. But yeah, it was a really good interview. So if you haven't checked it out, you should. And the funny thing is the reason that MAGA became bad is the people that are fighting for the idea of MAGA are the ones that are protecting pedos and grapists and all that stuff. So if that's what you consider great, why would anyone be okay with that? Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Scott and OC and Robin. Thanks for everyone who continues to join the fan club. Who says I don't have a job? Do you work 24 hours a day, JK? I'm pretty disappointed that no one is pushing that. You mean about Jared and Witkoff? Yeah, I get that. Newsflash. Never said it was. Although a lot of people do make a living off of TikTok, so I would argue that's a lie. How is Iran still attacking if their military is decimated? That's a good question, Korea. That's a good Korea? Hope I'm saying it right. Hello again, Jeremiah. Hello, Phantom. Good morning. Yeah, it's or an even better question at this moment is nope, the Houthis are not in Iran. They're in Pakistan. The missiles came from Iran. That's why when the Houthis attack, they say it's from the Houthis. And when the Iranians attack, they say it's the Iranian. How the hell is the US out of missiles? Did you see that? Well, that's what happens when you start a war you can't win without any preparation, thinking you're going to be done in like a week, and 4 months later you're still fighting. That's what happens when you put incompetent people in office. I mean, I wouldn't say they're pulling any rock, but yes, also, I mean, I can understand the at least somewhat the comparison. Everyone see what Mamdani is doing with grocery stores? Yes. Hey, Cat. It's exactly what should be done. That's giving people affordable necessities. That is the thing that a government has the capability of doing that can help people. When your goal is not profit, your goal is basically just covering the expenses, you can give people things for cheaper. That is why necessities shouldn't be for profit. And hi, Teach. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Jeremiah. Crazy how long they hid the number of wounded in Iran. You know, not only hid, but also are changing the way they're doing the counting. They're not being surgical, though. They are committing war crimes and failing miserably. Thank you, Patty. They're like a bunch of frat boys playing a game of Risk. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. That has always been the issue of Americans who, because of where we're located, we very much have the ability to separate ourselves mentally. So it's easy to have, I mean, when you don't teach empathy, it's even easier to lack empathy for people on the other side of the world. Why stop at half? Well, because it's still important to have a national defense, and we are a big nation. I disagree. It is important. Okay, you're allowed to think that. Israel is not doing anything for us. They're the ones pulling us into this. They're the reason that we are in this mess. That and idiotic administration. What's up, buddy?
Apparently, some people in chat are viewing a different war than the rest of us are viewing. Wow. It's surgical. Yeah, that's why we've achieved none of our war aims. It's so surgical that we're achieving nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. We have achieved giving Iran de facto control over the Straits of Hormuz, through which, you know the answer, boys and girls, 20% of the world's oil and 20% of the world's natural gas flow. Hence, we are where we are right now.
See, Tom, the problem with your statement is this administration, by the very nature of how they have done it, have made the likelihood of a nuclear Iran and nuclear other countries a almost guarantee. So I'm okay with the Iranian government funding terrorism. No, why would I be? That's a dumb statement. The problem is this isn't fixing it. Yep, we just hit about the 15-minute mark. That makes sense.
Mike, did you know that you are among the most gullible and stupid people in U.S. history? Wow. 250 years. Well, congratulations. Well, he included me too, so I'm a dummy also.
Yep. What's great is in their process of saying things, and I really could care less what they think about me. They're just helping my algorithm, and I love it for them. I would say, though, we literally cannot dictate what other country spends its resources on. I mean, look, there's always going to be a line of when a country that does shitty things, like the government of Iran has to be held to account by the rest of the world because of what it has the capability of doing and what it is doing. Except this isn't doing that. The world didn't do it. We just did it unilaterally with no help, no input, no involvement, no support, no nothing.
Well, we did it almost unilaterally. We had support from the iCountry.
Well, I would still consider that unilaterally at this point, unfortunately.
Good point.
What's my solution? There is no good solution now. We're past the point of a good solution.
I tend to think that the only solution will be is that Trump will pull out because he's already said he's bored with the war in Iran. And when Trump gets bored, he has a very short attention span to begin with. I think we'll pull out and he'll call it a victory. And his gullible followers, the dwindling band of gullible followers, will say, yeah, we won. See, we won. It's all over.
The iCountry is not slightly better, but no. Or at least the government. Again, we like to conflate things that aren't the same. We know there are people that are decent people in Iran, in the iCountry, in Palestine, all of them. But there are also not good people. The problem is we conflate in our support that we have to support the iCountry when we shouldn't be supporting the iGovernment. And somehow we've meshed the two together. Tom, billions of Muslims want to destroy them because of what they have done to the people around them. Innocent people around. That there are knowledge or real opinions about what? Right now, I would agree that to the world, this administration is the biggest threat. If I were being honest, I think what this administration has done and is doing, is going to cause more damage globally than anything any of us have experienced, in my opinion. You are showing your age. What age? What age am I showing? You sound like a globalist. I would call myself a realist, if I'm anything. Your youth. Okay. Yes, I know what Iran does globally, but I also know that you're not stopping that with what's happening here. You're making it worse.
Look, the issue is not whether Iran has a reprehensible regime. They do. That is rather self-evident. The issue is, are what we doing making things any better? And I think demonstrably the answer is no.
I'm a realist and a humanist, if you're going to call me anything. I believe in the realities, whether I like them or not, and I believe in supporting humanity. Yeah, well, I've watched the iCountry do the same in terms of bad things, do the same things and worse to other people. Innocent people. Why is one okay and the other not? It's either bad or it's not bad. If you are okay with one and condemn the other, that's the problem we're dealing with. The problem, Jay, is we're not bombing terrorists. We're hitting more civilians are losing their life than terrorists are. And that's the problem.
That's a good point, Julie, and perhaps we should have thought of that before the first shots were fired. Very good point you made in chat. And I might add, we not only didn't consult our allies, we didn't consult Congress, and we didn't consult the American people. We simply went to war. That is very dangerous territory for a democracy.
Hey, Shane. Oh, so you are upset when Fauci pleads the fifth, but you're okay when Trump pleads the fifth. Is that how it is? Again, you can not like it all you want, but if you're not going to be upset about everyone doing it, then shut the hell up.
And by the way, Mike, why shouldn't he plead the fifth? He's not in government anymore. He's being dragged in front of Congress in a pathetic dog and pony show. Why should he give them a goddamn thing? He owes them nothing. If I were him, if I was his attorney, I would advise him to do the same thing.
Yep. And as a lawyer, Scott would know better than most about that kind of stuff.
What the hell is that? Can you teach me how to do that?
I think it's a gift. Yeah. Let me find it. I'll put it up as the pinned thing. That's freaking hilarious. Oh, how did that become a gift?
Oh, thank you, Jelly. I didn't know that. And Patty says you can choose the music.
Oh.
They're getting creative.
Still can't find it.
And another reason to give the fifth, to plead the fifth, remember that Biden gave Fauci a pardon on his way out the door. Anything he says now can be used against him because the pardon only covers for past actions. So why give them any information? They're not there for any information from him anyway. They're there to appease their lunatic base.
Yep. I don't find it anywhere. And they don't let you search gifts, fortunately. Who's Fauci, the former head of the
CDC.
CDC. Yeah, I know it's shaped. I saw the picture, but I cannot. Maybe I can click on it. No. Yeah, it's not showing for me. That's so weird. Or I'm blind, which is a distinct possibility. Why should Fauci answer their questions when they can't answer simple questions? Also true. Minus third row far right. Yeah, mine doesn't. Using the app, I actually have less control over things, which is annoying. It's fine. JJ defied. I mean, let's be honest. It all is just kind of messed up. Like this is why Congress is a joke right now. Do I think Kash Patel is corrupt? I think Kash Patel is an imbecile, and I believe that he is doing fraudulent things. That I believe about Kash Patel. Hey, Vonda. Do I use his preferred name? I was just repeating what I read. I don't really care about any of that. You're disrespectful to imbeciles calling Kash that? Fair. It's fair. We need to withdraw? Probably. Probably. The fact is Oman and Iran are talking about charging to go through. Basically, both sides of the strait now are probably going to get charged for people to pass through. That is, again, an unfortunate reality of why no one was dumb enough to go in and do that. Abdul Al-Sayed is having a good campaign. He won me over more than Haley Stevens. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Haley Stevens. I watched part of their debate, and I wasn't impressed. Well, unfortunately, at this point, it's not the rest of the world, it's us too. That's the problem. That's the reason, again, no one did anything this dumb, because the result of all of this is going to mean higher prices for everybody. Because again, oil is a global market.
Yeah, and we're starting to reach a tipping point. Strategic petroleum reserves around the world, with the notable exception of China, are at an all-time low. You have let's not forget, a lot of oil is being taken off the market with Ukrainian attacks on Russia's capabilities. This is starting to get pretty tight, and we need to get that oil flowing. And if the Red Sea continues to be blocked off, that's going to knock out another 10 to 15% of supply.
Yep. I mean, in the end, the globe is going to have to be a part of cleaning up this mess. We are going to started tapping in. Our reserve has been tapped in since the reserve existed. It gets tapped, it gets refilled, it gets tapped, it gets refilled. No one has pulled out more oil right now than this administration. No, it's absolutely true. Like you can see a graph on the levels of the strategic reserve throughout the years.
Robert, it may interest you to know that Joe Biden put in money as he was going out the door to refill the strategic reserve, and Trump took the money for his tax cuts. So we didn't refill the reserve. And we could have done so at a very low price. And now we're going to have to refill it at a very high price. the squandering of hundreds of billions of dollars here is just amazing.
How many millions of barrels have been released in 2026 so far? Gosh, are you still talking about the 9% inflation?
I seem to remember inflation being 2.3%, in between 2.3 and 2.9% for the last 6 months of Biden's administration.
Hey, Ezzy. Hey, Miss 111. Biden's policies did not lead him to depleting our reserve.
It's a lot more depleted now than it was then, Robert.
It is lower than it has been in a long, long, long time. Okay. I don't bring up people I don't know. But Biden, right?
Yeah, Bonnie, I'm sure we're not blaming. I'm actually, I'm expecting to blame Biden, Clinton, Obama, everybody but himself.
I've been up here before. I don't remember you. Sorry. When we were going to stop allowing these weapon makers to control our... I mean, we need to stop letting any CEO drained the oil reserves to lower gas prices near election time, which, by the way, pretty much every president has kind of done something similar to that. But excuses? No, that's called reality. Regime in Iran must be removed. But that's not going to happen.
Well, I agree that I would love to see regime change in Iran. I'd love nothing more than to see regime change in Iran, but that's up to the Iranian people. What we've been doing has not effectuated regime change.
Nor will
In fact, quite the opposite. We replaced a more, and I use this term loosely, a more moderate, aged Ayatollah with his young son, fanatical Ayatollah, and the IRGC is calling the shots, and those are the real crazies. So it's up to the Iranian people, unfortunately. It's not up to us.
Actually, Robert, Iran is in a much stronger position than it was, in my opinion.
Iran has certainly suffered some damage to their ballistic missiles, to their drone capacity, but only about 30%, according to our own CIA, far less than the 90% that Pete Hegseth said. But the real problem here is the geostrategic position of Iran has increased markedly. They now have de facto control over the Straits of Hormuz, and just as importantly, they're causing our Persian Gulf allies to fudge in their alliances with the United States. They are going to have to come to some sort of arrangement with Iran, which is something that they didn't want to have to do.
Actually, Robert, it is true. There are news stories from these different countries showing what they're doing. UAE is strengthening our relationship. We are not expanding. We don't know. Gosh. We can't even protect the bases we currently have. How are we expanding anything? Aw, country. Sounds like someone's in their feelings. How many bases have we lost? What does that have to do with anything? We literally are letting missiles go through because we don't have enough interceptors. Yeah, we can't defend our bases. We can't defend the area as much. We are running out of defensive ordnance. We clearly. So you're saying the, like, I feel like I'm talking with a kid who just goes nuh-uh. Or why? Why? I never said I was a military expert. But I have talked to some.
Well, you just released a video talking to one, did you not, Mike? Might as well give a plug for that for these people to actually listen to somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Just posted an interview with former Marine, former CIA case officer, Adam Dunnigan, and we spent a good 40 minutes talking about everything that's going on over there. What else do we want to achieve? We're not achieved anything. That's the problem. Fox News is not legitimate. True, it's not news.
Well, TJ-74, it appears, at least according to the administration, that we had 4 basic goals in going into Iran: to achieve the neutralization of the 970 pounds of enriched uranium, to end their ballistic missile program, to stop their support for their proxies, the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas, and to effectuate regime change. We have accomplished absolutely none of those goals. None.
What
But
about
Iran does now have de facto control over the Straits of Hormuz. That they do have. That we have, unfortunately, achieved.
what about the 35K Persians that lost their life by the IRGC? What about them? We didn't help them. We didn't help them.
I think he's trying to imply that the Iranian regime is odious. Nobody disputes that. They're a horrible regime.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely horrible. The world will be a better place when the Ayatollahs fall.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about that. Nobody disputes that. The issue is, what is the most effective way of effectuating that?
Why did I ask a question from his statement? Because that's how a conversation works.
No, TR, we haven't spent millions to achieve nothing. We've spent billions to achieve nothing.
Hundreds of billions.
And 18 people unalived.
And 600 people injured. Sure, there's Christians living. There's Christians living in Gaza. There's Christians living everywhere. Just like there are Muslims living pretty much everywhere, and probably pretty much someone from every religion living everywhere. The number of US casualties is way higher than that. I mean, we may never know. Send them all back? To where? There's American Muslims and American Hindus and American Jews and American Christians. They're Americans. What do you mean send them back? Back to where? They're Americans. Muslim isn't a country. It's a religion, and we have freedom of religion in this country. We need to remove multiple citizens from Congress and the Senate, as well as our military. Disagree. Disagree. What would it take? I don't think there's a difference between taking out, quote unquote, the Ayatollah and actually affecting real change over in Iran. The fact is there's 93 million people there, and I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere near a good half of them are at least mildly supportive of the perspective of what's going on there, just because they've been living there for so long. There is no way to just walk in and fix things.
TJ, that's a good question. What would it take to win in Iran? Largely, that ship has sailed. What it would have taken is for the United States to effectuate a coalition before the shooting started. We did not do that. He did not go to Congress. He did not go to the American people. He didn't explain what our war aims were. And it's not surprising that for the first time in American history, after only 6 months of a conflict, 68% of the American people are against the war. That was entirely foreseeable to everybody but Donald Trump. And now it's a little bit late to worry about what it would have taken to win. What it would take to win, unfortunately, you're talking about a nation that is 2.5 times the size of Texas, 4 times the size of Iraq, and is heavily mountainous. That would mean, by necessity, if you're talking about getting rid of the regime, boots on the ground. And that's a price the United States is not willing to pay. And I doubt our allies would either.
And I would, Rose, I would argue that MAGA is as dangerous in a different way as Iran is to America right now, currently. Was that always the case? Maybe not. But currently, I would argue that MAGA is as dangerous to America as Iran is.
TJ says in chat, that would be another Vietnam type of mess. Very good chance it would be, which is why, TJ, no, we've had war plans against Iran for every American president since the Iranian Revolution in 1979. No American president has pulled the trigger for a very good reason. It would be extraordinarily difficult to defeat them and to garrison the country. Again, a mountainous country, 2.5 times the size of Texas, 4 times the size of Iraq. Therefore, we should have thought about that before we started the shooting. It would have taken a huge international coalition. Could Donald Trump have put that coalition together? Probably not. But that's what it would have taken to win. Otherwise, the Vietnam quagmire, if we did put boots on the ground, is a pretty damn good analogy. Because if we put boots on the ground by ourselves, it's not going to be enough.
I don't care if you think it's dumb. You probably are MAGA. So of course you think it's dumb. You are part of the problem. Why would anyone expect you to agree with that statement?
Yes, Stephen, you make a good point. For since we're using the Vietnam analogy, let's stick with that for just a second. We had over 500,000 troops in Vietnam, which is a very small country, and we still couldn't effectuate victory. We couldn't do it.
I'm someone who has empathy and humanity for all people, no matter your race, religion, gender, or identity. That's who I am. And you're not. What happens if we withdraw now? Honestly, I'm not sure anyone fully knows. I could foresee Iran and Oman trying to make money off the strait. Would that be allowed to continue by the rest of the world? Could there be enough world pressure put on them to pull back from that? Possibly. But I would say probably some massive concessions would have to be made by the United States to make sure something like this never happens again for that to happen.
Yeah, if we were to pull out now, which we probably will, which is the way I think the war will end, we're just going to pull out, and Donald Trump will tell his cult that, oh, look, we've won. Well, that we didn't win. But the bottom line is Iran will be in a stronger geostrategic position than it was pre-war, especially in terms of its power over the Persian Gulf states. They're going to be very, very careful before they attack Iran again, knowing that Iran has a choke collar on the world economy that they can yank of their choosing.
Yep. Hey, Kelsey. Can't pull out. I mean, that is something they're trying to do. I saw a video from a different congressman who read a letter that was sent to everyone in Congress from our Secretary of Stupidity, Pete Hegseth, trying to convince them that they should give him $1.5 trillion because funding this war is good for our economy. Iran needs to be isolated by the world. Again, this is the problem that we have when it comes to us trying to be the deciders of what's right and wrong. We can sit here and say, these are all these lines. The fact is whatever you think, a draft will not happen. I don't believe a draft will happen. I don't believe boots will be on the ground. But there's a reason that we stopped doing these kind of wars, these kind of reactionary things around the world. We stopped doing it a long time ago because it doesn't actually ever fix the problem. Ever. Look throughout history. It never fixes the problem. All it does is create more people that are against you. If we want it, the best way we could turn any country into one that's more of a global ally as opposed to what we're dealing with now is try and actually work with them and stop just forcing our will upon everyone. The reason we are in this predicament now was 60 some odd years ago We decided we didn't like who they democratically chose in Iran, and the CIA overthrew them. We are the reason for this. That's not how the West works, because we don't actually do anything as voters. It still comes down to us. We, as voters, get to decide how we want things to look. Since you folks have all the answers, step up to the plate. If only it were that easy, Tom. I know, Tav. I'm sorry, buddy. Unfortunately, there's a lot of hypocrisy going around the world right now. America is the primo. Unfortunately, other countries are living it right now too. We need the brain worm to stop making medical decisions. True. Congress able to stop this mess? Sure. They're in charge of the purse. They can defund. They can take away funding. What's your opinion on the new guy in charge of the UK? I have to look into him more. I don't know much about him. I've heard a few of the policies that he wants to, things that he wants to do, and I think it's great. I think they're decent. I mean, the UK is dealing to an extent with the same kind of problem that a lot of countries are dealing with. We, as a whole, let capitalism go unregulated too long. And the fix for unregulated capitalism is going to involve pain. It's going to involve pain for people at the bottom. It's going to involve pain, probably a little more pain for people at the top. And unless everyone is willing to accept, or at least a majority of the people are willing to accept the pain, that's why the dollar's crashing. We're going digital. That's not, but what? Chance of a world war increasing. There's, we are closer to one than we were 5 months ago. Yeah. Yeah. Andy Burnham is a breath of fresh air. Time will only tell how good he will be. Yeah. And again, we've seen it in the UK, right? Because of the way their system works, they can rotate around prime ministers like they're changing clothes. And that's what they've dealt with. Andy Burnham's whole cabinet is pro-I country. Yeah.
Edgar says that we should treat Iran like Dresden. Two answers to that. Number one, that'd be a war crime. Secondly, how well did Dresden work out for us? It's been a stain on Americans since we did it.
What do you mean Muslims want to take over? And control you? Okay. I mean, that's not how it works, but okay.
Edgar, Germany is not nice because of Dresden. Jesus Christ. God almighty. Did you pay attention during 8th grade history? Or did you make it that far?
Wrong. We need the ability to vote new prime minister so people get to decide, not the rich elites. I mean, I agree, Tav. I think the fact that the people don't pick the prime minister is a little wild. And I don't know how laws are changed that way in the UK, but I would agree.
Edgar, go study World War II and get back to me. Jesus Christ.
I'm half British and I'd rather have Andrew over Stammer. And again, who knows? Maybe he'll be good, but it strikes me that a lot of countries need to adjust the way they do things. A lot of the way a lot of countries are doing things are still very old school, and the world is just different right now. It's so different. And trying to run things the same now that we did 30, 40 years, 50, 60, 70 years ago, which is what a lot of people are still trying to do, it just doesn't work. What's up, meme? And honestly, again, Constitution was restored back in the Constitution didn't exist in 1776.
You might want to try 1789, Dave.
There wasn't even a country in 1776. Not even 1778.
No, Vonda, I'm not mad at you. Yet, I'm sure you'll give me something to be mad at.
What's going on with the South Carolina seat situation? Are you talking about the actual current one? They installed Lindsey Graham's sister for the rest of the term. And I think in the next few weeks I don't know what the South Carolina Republican Party decided to do to how they're picking their replacement, because the party gets to decide how they want to do it. I don't know what they're doing. What's my opinion on his sister? Literally no qualifications whatsoever. Has spent no time in politics other than being around her brother. Not a good choice. But I guess we'll see what she does. Remove the log from your own eye before removing the splinter from others. Yep. True. She will be a yes person. Probably. Although she also said, I don't know if she actually decided to run for a seat, but I know she was considering it, which I don't know how she'll learn, which basically means she won't be involved in the Senate except being told what to vote for and what to vote against.
I believe she has thrown her hat in the ring for a full term. She'll still have to win the Republican primary, though.
That's war. What did you expect in Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan? Well, I mean, the biggest problem I have right now is this administration and a bunch of people are trying to pretend it's not a war. So we're doing all the war things, but it's not a war. I have an issue with that. And I have an issue with anyone that does that. Midterm election ends this mess. Unfortunately, I disagree. Unfortunately, I disagree. I think if enough people come out and vote, I think the midterm election has the capability of waking people up and starting the change. Why must you follow? Following is not required to talk live. Being here for any amount of time so we actually get to know you is required for you to be able to come up.
Yeah, Aaron in chat said the midterm should just be viewed as triage, and I think that's a pretty good way to put it.
No, I love the truth. But I don't bring up people that don't align with my fundamentals and don't seem to have the capability of having a real conversation. And you saying you fear the truth doesn't make me think that you actually want a conversation, but both parties are in bed together. You need pampering? No. You obviously haven't been on this channel long enough to understand it to think that I need pampering. I'm a young man and have no idea what I'm talking about. How old am I, Dan? I think my 19-year-old daughter would disagree that I'm a young man. I'm pretty sure my joints and back would also disagree. Between 25 and 30? Dang, that's nice. Well, I'm 47. I'm Gen X. But thanks for playing. I'm 62 and I've been following this for a long time. Pal, bring me up. Scott's 69.
And I've been following it longer than you, and also different than you. I actually know what I'm talking about.
This administration is a joke. No, not every live. There's a reason when you come in, it says, stop it already, bring you up. How about no? How about no?
And now he's been sent off on a trip to St. Elsewhere.
Oh, I'm sure I'll get a DM from him. Howard? Nope. That's not what we do here. There are plenty of debate lives that you could hang out in. This isn't one of them. We don't debate here. Go to a debate live if that's what you want to do. If you don't have the capability of becoming a part of the community and showing that you actually care about learning, about being wrong. I've been wrong tons of times on this live, admitted it tons of times on this live. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about learning and growing. And that's what I do all day, every day. So I had my daughter at 3. Yes. Yep. That's it. You got it, Garpu. Had my daughter at 3. And my wife wasn't even born yet. That's how good we are.
Talk about starting early. Wow.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love it when people come in and think that I'm young. It means I still look young. But just because I'm young doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I have that problem too, Mike. Everybody thinks instead of 69, they say you don't look a day over 68.
Yeah, that's got to be rough.
It is. It is. That's why with Mama Bear, we're going to form our own looks-maxing empire for geriatrics.
Max-looking empire for geriatrics.
Are you 70 years old and want that youthful look of 69?
Yep. Why does it seem like everyone in America is competing for I probably should know what that means, Aiden, but my brain.
Goyim is a phrase used by some Jewish people to describe non-Jewish people, Christians.
Gotcha. I think a lot of Americans have been convinced over the years that it's our job to protect the I country. I was one of them for a long time. I'm glad I got out of it. But again, it's going to be on us. It's going to probably make bone smashing much easier at 69. That's true, Wayne. That's true. That is unfortunately true. Why I can't stand the jerk. And here's the thing. We've had this conversation here. There isn't a direct one-to-one comparison to what 1930s Germany did and what MAGA is doing now. And I don't know if that's what you were talking about, but that's what it comes in my head. And it just made me think about it and I want to talk about it. There are some the rhetoric is eerily similar, though. I've been doing quite a bit of research recently on it. Which is why I think it's hilarious when people when MAGA tries to compare anyone on the left to that same government just because of the word socialism in it. And it's like, if you actually look at what they talked about, what they said, I was talking about my Austrian grandfather and how MAGA themselves comparing this are stupid. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people being like, oh, Mustache Man was absolutely a capitalist. You look at the people he supported. So the person that started the Communist Party in Germany was one of the first people that the Mustache Man arrested and unalived after he took power.
Quite right. The battle in the 1930s was largely between the Yahtzee Party and the communists. The communists were very powerful in Germany in the 1930s. And I agree with you, Mike, the connection, which sometimes comes from our side, saying, oh, well, we're becoming like Yahtzee Germany. But that's a little bit tenuous. There are a lot of reasons for Adolf to take power. And quite frankly, he wouldn't have taken power in 1933 if it weren't for the Great Depression in 1929. The National Socialists were actually losing seats in the Reichstag in the elections of 1928, for example. Mm-hmm. So it took a Great Depression. It took a nation that had no real experience with democracy. The Weimar Republic was only around for about a dozen years and never really took hold. And there was a lot of economic dislocation in Germany that did not exist here, that does not exist here. So it's tenuous. We have a long tradition of democracy in this country. But are there warning signs for our democracy? You bet there are. Absolutely.
If you talk to most people that consider themselves DSA members, they are not socialists or communists. That doesn't mean none of them are. But again, trying to equate one with another, Big D, grow up. You have such tiny D energy when you type on here.
Big D, that's just a ludicrous statement. And you don't even understand who the Nazis were, so Jesus.
No, you don't bring any facts. You just make statements. There are no facts. Not one fact have you said. In fact, if you look at everything that was said by the 1930s government, the schmatzis, nothing is similar to what the Democratic Party talks about. None of it. Zero. Nada. It's as far from an equating as you could possibly get. No, it's not the same playbook. It's not even close to the same playbook. That's the point. There is no comparison. The closest.
Big D, what? I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
I was just say the closest comparison to what they did in 1930s and what they were saying and what's going on now is the Republican Party. Whether you want to accept it or not, that is the closer comparison.
The same playbook. I would love to see Big D explain just what the National Socialist Party playbook from 1923 to 1933 was. He hasn't the foggiest idea.
It's not a TikTok smart. It's a research smart. I've been a fan of researching World War II in all of its, I've looked at the DSA playbook. It's nothing like what they were doing or what they were preaching or the rhetoric they were speaking in 1930s Germany. It's nothing like it. I've been interested in the history of World War II for 30 plus years. I guarantee of Scott and I together massively dwarf any quote unquote research you have done on World War II. Our pinky fingers probably know more about World War II than you do. You're so lost. Oh, well. Whew.
Well, that explains it, Jody. Thank you. Very helpful. Any other insightful comments you want to make? Please.
They've got.
Please, Prairie, please, quickly.
Oh my gosh.
You know real facts, Big D? That's interesting. You haven't given one. Not a single fact. You just make inane statements. There's a difference, although I doubt you can recognize that.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm putting together a video about it because again, people just see a word. That's all they know. They know that the government in 1930 Germany called themselves socialists or communists. I forget what they officially called themselves. Technically, it was the National something Socialist.
The National Socialist Workers' Party.
Yeah.
Yahtzee for short.
Yeah. That's all they saw. That's all they saw. That's all they knew. That's all these people can actually process.
And by the way, throughout all of Europe in the 1930s, the word socialist was often in all of the parties' names. They would work that name in. It has a different meaning in Europe than it does here.
Actually, Aiden, I don't think you can make a valid comparison to both parties. Does that mean that no person in both parties might have some comparisons? Of course, there are bad people in every party. Chill. Can you tell me where one country where socialism has actually been tried? Not just the word, the actual societal actually trying a society built on socialism or communism. No. You're asking where it's worked. I'm asking you to tell me one where it's actually been tried. Because the answer is it never has. There is no country from Marx on that has actually tried socialism. They've used the word. No, Cuba is not. Do they have aspects of it? Sure. But I'm not talking about aspects. I'm talking about the whole. Anyone can have. We have aspects of socialism in our country right now.
Yeah, there are a lot of countries that have had aspects of socialism. The Nordic countries, for one, in Europe. Clement Attlee and the Labour Party following World War II when they defeated Churchill and nationalized the major industries. But that's not a pure socialistic economy, which is what Mike is asking. And it's hard to find a country that did institute pure socialism.
No, democratic socialism, just like every other form of society, is a mixture of trying to make a society better based on things that work and things that don't work. The goal should always be to try and make things better. If things aren't working, we shouldn't be saying, oh, this is the best that we can do. We can't do any better. When we know that's not true. We know that's not true. Look at our healthcare. Anyone that says that our healthcare is fine is losing their mind. Does that mean that universal healthcare, single payer healthcare in other countries are perfect? No, because they decide on how they run it. They decide on how they fund it. They decide on how they do everything. No one's saying we need to literally take exactly what one country does and bring it over. But to say that our current system is good completely ignores the reality that we have one of the worst healthcare systems in existence in terms of people being able to get access to it. What I do only hurts Democrats? What, having conversations? That's weird. What's up, Captain? And I don't only talk negatively about one person and one party. I talk about bad things that happen, and I talk about good things. Where is it good? Right now, I don't see much. I'm going to be straight. Right now, in how things are currently going, I don't see a lot of good. That does not mean there aren't people that are thriving because of the way this administration is running things. But the people that are thriving are the people that you saw great things when Biden was in office. I saw better things. I'm not sure I'd say I saw great things. There's definitely better. Yeah, well, Sherman, you aren't the whole country. But yeah, I think there are people that did good things. I'm not sure I would call any administration great ever. Again, are there ones that do better than others? Of course. But great ignores the fact that we're all humans and we all do things. Aw, Sherman, grow up.
I seem to see Trump
Nope.
falling asleep more than Sleepy Joe fell
Oh my
asleep, Sherman.
gosh. Trump falls asleep everywhere.
No, you don't see Trump fall asleep, Sherman? He fell asleep yesterday during Lindsey Graham's funeral again.
That's because he actually had to.
Wow. Okay.
They're both old. Why we don't want old people. But yes, I mean, yeah, we can hold, and that's the thing, Ambrosia. We can hold a class on the isms. Fortunately, it requires people to be willing to listen. You want crazy young people. I want the people that are actually that actually understand the world that we live in now more than the old people that in general don't understand what it's like to live in the world right now. Yeah. Yeah. I would consider most of the old people in office right now to be crazy. It is not better today than it was 4 years ago. That is not even close to true. Literally not even close to true. Oh, again, you're fine and your family is fine. That must be all that matters. Everybody I know is fine. Yeah. All 100 people you may know. Again, over 50% of this country is either not surviving or barely surviving. Sherman, thank you for letting us know you lack humanity and empathy. Walmart is packed every day.
Yeah, I don't see how that quite makes your point. Walmart is a low-cost retailer. People are trying to find bargains because they don't have money. I don't think that makes your point. I think it hurts your point.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Quite right, Chili. The price of housing in California is very, very high, and the price of housing, quite frankly, nationally is very, very high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's a real problem.
Foreclosures have gone up 21% in this country in this year alone. Most of them in Florida. Go listen to Alex Jones.
Oh, well, thank you for the reference. Oh, that's so great. Yeah, yeah. I think we should all leave the live now and go to listen to Alex Jones.
The man who had his who basically bankrupted his business and had it bought by what is it, the Onion.
Yes, it was bought by the Onion. Yeah, I mean, Alex Jones is so credible.
And again, there are lots of reasons for high prices in houses. The biggest problem is that housing became a commodity. No, Alex Jones is an idiot who literally spread straight out lies and was sued and lost because of those lies.
That's right. The Sandy Hook case.
One of the few times that straight up defamation cases, like, as we've said before, it is hard to prove a defamation case. And yet, again, Sherman, thank you for showing us that you lack empathy and humanity. Because again, I have no love in any way, shape, or form for the Iranian government. Fuck them. But ignoring the straight up war crimes that we have done to the Iranian people, civilians, children, is not okay.
Well, MKG in chat said Fauci is guilty as fuck. Okay, MKG. Guilty of what, by the way? What's he guilty of? What's he been found guilty of?
When was the record set for housing foreclosures? Probably 2008 or the Great Depression. I don't know. I don't know the numbers. Oh, we know Seashell. But they help my algorithm, so.
Oh, he's guilty of genocide. Okay.
You know, I would argue that the person that is guilty of the G side you speak of is not Fauci. It's the president of the United States at the time that global pandemic started, who got rid of the department of the committee whose job it was to be ready to respond to a global pandemic, by trying to hide numbers of people that were getting numbers of cases, saying the we wouldn't have to deal with so many cases if we didn't have people reporting them, telling people that sunlight and horse trank were better for treating it than what the doctors were actually saying, for not encouraging people to protect themselves by pretending that it was in some way, shape, or form a bad thing, while himself putting the money in towards the vaccine and getting it himself, while also saying that they're all lying about it. What's the point of having laws when you have a president that can just overrule them? I mean, he cannot overrule laws. More like, again, in terms of anybody in this country trying to do something that they think they can do and having it be overturned, that's common for every president. They try and do something under a law, and it gets found to be unconstitutional or illegal. That's normal for every single president, everywhere. Republican, Democrat, don't matter. The problem is we don't have a Congress that is holding him to account and is giving him the power to do things that he should not have the power to do. The fact that we are running a government based on fully by executive order, that's the problem. That's the problem. We got a chance in November to limit the madness. Hey, Hillary. We don't have a chance to stop it, unfortunately. Because again, I mean, he didn't gut the government of any accountability, because the Congress is the ultimate accountability on the administration, and they're not doing their job. He didn't gut Congress. Congress is just abdicating their responsibilities. And he put people in government positions that will follow whatever he wants to do. No, he didn't do that. They did that to themselves. That was self-mutilation right there. Arguably on both sides. Trump is the symptom. Trump is the outcome of the symptom. Trump isn't the problem by his very nature. This was starting way before. We were seeing this happen with the Tea Party. We were seeing this idea and this mentality start with the Tea Party, probably even before the Tea Party, but it really came out then. They need to focus. Here's the thing. They should have the ability to do both. Do investigations on things that have to get done, but also focus on the people. In the end, unless they can get a filibuster-proof majority or a veto-proof majority, it's going to be hard for them to do anything. And that's the part we need to remember, is we still have a president who can veto anything. They have the capability of taking back some of the power that has been allowed to the president, which will slow things down. But in the end, in terms of getting new things done to actually start fixing problems, it's going to require more than, especially ones that require laws to get passed. It's going to take more than just winning. why have investigations when the one being investigated pleads the fifth for 5 hours?
Steve, it's really because it's performative by the Republicans. They're not interested in learning anything from Dr. Fauci. They're interested in nailing him. And as we discussed before, I know you weren't in the live at that time. If I was advising Dr. Fauci, I'd advise him to take the fifth as well. Why give them anything?
Cooper, you're a wannabe commenter. See, I can do it too. In the grand scheme of things, the problem, even with these investigations, is they're all performative. Every single one of them. They have nothing ever happens past it. As long as they are only for clicks, only for clips to be posted online, then yeah, they have no point. Even Democrat ones. Straight up. If Democrats do these investigations and all it is different people in different seats but the exact same thing, that is, again, do we want change? Fauci is not going to jail. Not in my opinion. Because again, just like this administration has done with people way worse than anything you think Fauci might have done. Like, do you understand the kind of people that this president has pardoned? This current president? He has pardoned terrorists and drug kingpin. He's
the largest drug pen in the world. He pardoned. The largest drug kingpin in the world.
He did not,
and he also pardons everybody guilty of financial crimes.
He did not inject. Oh my gosh! It's a vax. How can people be so?
Well, I get my mystery goo booster every 6 months, and doesn't seem like goo to me. Jesus.
And Fauci didn't destroy the economy. A global pandemic did. No, Fauci was not the reason why we shut down. And no one was forced to get the jab. No, he wasn't. His job, just like every scientist's job at that point, was to research the problem and find a solution, which he did.
He's not listening to you, Mike. He doesn't care.
Department of Defense employees. Yeah, every company can require you to get to do or not do certain things to work for them. That's called politics. Or I mean, not politics. That's called capitalism. That's called everything. Any company can do that. By the government? Yeah, no one was forced. You can quit. Again, forced means you literally have no choice. You have no other option. They had an option. Do you understand that when you join the military, you get a whole concoction in your butt during basic training? Nope. That wasn't forced. No, they don't remember the idiot suggesting bleach injection. You weren't.
And a UV light shoved up your butt.
Again, you weren't forced to. You had a choice. If you wanted to go places, you had to do it because companies are allowed to say that. They're allowed to put those kind of restrictions on things. You have a choice. Don't go where you're required to wear a mask. If you didn't wear a mask, can you go in a federal building without it? No. But you still had a choice. You could not go into that building. That's a choice. You guys don't seem to understand what forcing and choice means, the difference. Again, forcing means you have absolutely no other options. And you did. You just didn't like those options. And that, tough. Rub some dirt into it. Get back to work. Starving is completely different. This isn't starving. They didn't make you starve. Having to find a different job wasn't making you starve.
WTW, I have a question for you. Are you saying that no vaccines are any good? That all vaccines are bad for you? Is that your position?
It is not the same intellectual premise. It's a completely different premise, but that's fine. Oh, that was the goal, Steve. It was called using their own words against them. No, I'm refusing to engage with an analogy that is completely different than the realities of what we experienced. Again, when you sign up in the military, you do sign away some of you agree to doing certain things. If you don't want to do it, leave the military. Because you're not telling them that they're going to starve. You're deciding whether or not you are willing to work there under the new rules of working there. You have the ability to go find another job. It's not an extreme choice. Quitting your job because your job tells you you have to do something that you don't want to do is not an extreme choice. Welcome to the world. The rules were you must vote Republican. Would that be what?
That's not an analogy to anything that we're even discussing.
I mean, I'll say this again, not a Democrat, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Maybe you should stop saying dumb things before you come on here and try and have a conversation. Hey, Autumn. Get another job, Kevin. Just get another job. That's what you keep telling all of us, right? Just get another job. Can't afford to live, just get a better job. You don't like the requirements, just get another job. Again, in the military, when you start, they give you a concoction of protection for any place you may go as part of the military. Because as part of the military, you could get sent anywhere and they don't want to have to deal with it. So they just give you the whole smorgasbord of it right in your butt. See, Steve knows. And again, as I've said multiple times, I knew one of the people that worked on that vaccine. And I trust her way more than I trust this president or anybody on here that is whining about it. If they say it's safe.
And it's worth noting that the president himself was all for the vaccine until some of his people became against it.
It also should point out that he got it himself.
And still does.
The vaccine that you guys are complaining about, Kevin. People were not wearing mask or taking vaccine. My husband was battling cancer during C9. We were warned daily that if he caught C19, it would unalive him. Game over. Yep. Again, this is where the lack of empathy comes in again. People didn't care about protecting other people that may be at higher risk. All they cared about the fact is that they had to wear a mask, or they felt like they had to wear a mask, or they felt like they had, and they didn't want to, and they felt like they had to get the vaccine and they didn't want to. You just looking for rage from people, you are part of the problem. I'm not looking for any rage. I'm talking about things that I care about. And both of the things that I'm talking about here are things that piss me off that I'm willing to talk about. What do you think we should do? Just ignore that these bad things are happening? Roger? I do find it hilarious, Scott, that literally basically right as this administration is like, yeah, negotiations are going great. No, they attacked it, Austin. Just because it didn't land, which technically it's just this administration that's saying that none of them landed. They also haven't been really good about telling us about things that have happened anyways. But No, they did attack U.S. bases. They didn't get a single thing in. So that's not that's still an attack, and it still cost us money because we had to spend money on interceptor missiles. Interceptor missiles that we are running out of. I know a lot of people that lost friends and loved ones to C-19. And the fact that anyone is still like, coming from a country that, what does that have to do with anything? We're not fixing that problem. Not even a little bit. See you, Patty. Thank you, my friend. No, I'm in no way rooting for Iran. Definitely not the government. I will root for the Iranian people that are suffering. But we're not fixing that. We're making it worse for them. We literally destroyed desalination plants, the things that give these people water. Yeah, and now they're suffering more. We're not fixing it. We're spending hundreds of billions of dollars to make things worse for them. And we have done nothing that we said we were going to do there. If we wanted any chance of actually helping the people of Iran, it needed to be more than just us, and definitely more than just us and the I country. All we have done is give Iran more power. We did give them billions of dollars, Austin. Literally, we did. We gave them tens of billions of dollars of their money back. And we allowed them to sell, and we got rid of the sanctions and allowed them to sell. No, we did. This administration did. This current administration. When they created the MOU and signed it, they got rid of sanctions, which gave them the money that was being sanctioned to the extent of literally tens of billions of dollars. And they allowed them to sell oil again for billions more dollars. We literally allowed them to keep this going. He likes to complain about Obama and the money that he gave to get the JCPA, whatever it's called, signed. That was pittance compared to what this administration gave to them.
By the way, Biden didn't give Iran any money. They let Iran have access to some of their money that was frozen, some of Iran's own money that was frozen, about $6 billion worth, if I recall.
And it was overseen by a separate country on what they were allowed to use it for. It wasn't just we handed it to them and walked away.
And Trump has proposed a $300 billion rebuilding fund for Iran.
I was wearing my mask trying to buy groceries when a woman grabbed my arm and hugged me. She wanted to pray for me to be free of the spirit of fear. Rushed home, threw clothes in the washer, showered, but I got C19 a week later. Yeah. People think that because they didn't get it, that meant that it wasn't necessary or it wasn't that bad. And that's part of the problem too, right? That's part of the issue.
Well, obviously it was that bad. 1.2 million Americans have perished from it.
Yeah, but they didn't affect them.
Yeah, I know. People have a very
The amount
myopic view of things. They view them through their own prism.
the amount of people that have come in and been like, I didn't get the jab, I didn't wear masks, and I didn't never got it. So it was stupid. We didn't need it. It's like, no, that's called luck. Called luck. I know people that had it and literally were almost lost their life. And again, what does it come back to? Lack of empathy, lack of humanity. That is the problem. That is the problem we are dealing with. See, damaged my heart, but these people don't care. No. It's disgusting how little people care about others, especially if they feel that it affects them in any way. If they feel inconvenienced in any way, it's bad. And that is just disgusting. You can also be asymptomatic. Also true. Also true. There's a lot to it. And yeah, these newer vaccines are quote unquote more complicated than the old versions. There's no argument there. But that's the problem we're dealing with right now is as technology grows, things get more complicated. People have a less understanding of how things work. And when you don't understand, it's so much easier to believe conspiracy theories. That's what we're dealing with. When you look at people that believe conspiracy theories, their common response is it just makes sense. They love that statement of it just makes sense. Or it's common sense. And I've seen some people talking about it. It is frustrating that I feel like we have to keep talking about the same things. The fact that we're still having this discussion about C19 is sad. It's sad. It's sad that we're still having arguments about J6. It's sad that we're still having to have these discussions. Thank you, Mission. How you doing, buddy? It's exhausting. It's all just And again, hey Paul, I don't have an issue with people wanting to find out where the origin of it is. I really don't. I think I yeah, finding out the origin of a global pandemic, no issue with it at all. I just don't feel like that's actually what's happening. They're not trying to find a solution. They're not finding it for the good of humanity. They're trying to get a win. They're trying to say, look, Democrats bad.
They're trying to rile people up for the midterms. They know that their turnout's going to be awful. And that's the only reason for this hearing with Fauci. That's the only reason at all.
And it's like, this is why I don't just bring people up about these things, because most of these people that want to come up, that person who says that we've talked and I know him, he followed me like 10 minutes before, before he said that. So it's not true. This is why I don't just bring people up, because a discussion is not about winning or losing. A conversation is not about winning or losing.
Yeah, I've never seen that guy.
Conversations involve people coming in and giving their perspectives. You can have a perspective that I completely 100% disagree with regarding the C19 virus. That's fine. But if when I bring up stuff that has been shown to be true or is just reality, and your response is to just brush it off, that's not a discussion. That's you just trying to be right. Sure, Shug. You get the invite? It's not letting me invite again because it says you've been invited. I mean, it may be forever, it may not. I don't know. That's something, that's a future that no one can know. What's up, Shug?
Hello?
Hey.
Y'all hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Y'all hear me, but I can't hear y'all. All right, hang on.
Huh? And the president sets the tone of the nation on high for fear. This is what happens. Yeah. Yeah. We have created a world where fear reigns. And unfortunately, there's a lot of examples throughout the world where where what we're seeing right now has happened. And it's all because of fear. It's a sad reality of people. It takes a lot of trust to be able to live in fear and not do what's going on right now. And that's part of the problem, right? There is a supreme lack of trust in especially the government, who we need to have a level of trust in to be able to actually move forward. And we don't. Hello. Can you hear me?
Can you hear us, Papa?
All right. I'm sure you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't hear. Yeah, it's something weird with my phone and the CarPlay. But let me just say, uh, the I'm hearing and seeing about C19. There was a very good friend of mine who I had known, met over social media throughout the years, and in 30 days, 30, 1 month, she went from posting that she had C19, 30 days later, unalived. So y'all can gamble with your health if you want to. You don't have to be vaccinated, but respect what other people are doing for their health. It's just like anything else. Just because you might not be battling depression or some other mental illness doesn't mean somebody else isn't. And whatever they're doing to take care of themselves, you don't have to do the same thing, but stop criticizing and bashing people for taking care of their own health. It's just that simple.
We're seeing measles back. Measles is back.
And I think it's also important to note that COVID is a communicable disease. So when you decline your shot, you're not only putting yourself at risk, but you are putting other people at risk too.
Dr. Fauci is really embarrassing the US Senate today. It was a completely stupid thing to do. It was an unneeded, stupid thing to do. They have more important things to do right now than that. Now, again, that's my opinion, obviously. No, nothing good is going to come of what they're doing on this front. Which you can argue with any of them. We can argue with any of the investigations that are going to come, post the midterms. You could argue the same thing, that nothing good is going to come from them, and that's possible. It could be a complete waste of money. The Senate was not under oath today, but Fauci was. Yep. And again, I don't think that senators and congressmen should be able to not be under oath during these investigations too. I understand the general reason why, but see you, Steve. But I don't agree with it.
Well, one of the reasons is that they are protected under the speech and debate clause. So
I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't agree with the speech and debate clause in terms of an investigation. Like, I think if you're having a debate on the floor of the House about a bill, and you're talking about your positions on it, sure, that's fine. But I think in an investigation, I don't think they should be allowed to say whatever they want. I don't think they should be allowed to defame people and lie about people when I know how the situations work there, where basically the senator or the congressman could talk the entire time, and that the other person could never be able to defend themselves. And that is not okay.
Sure, and agreed. The speech and debate clause has unfortunately been morphed into turning congressional investigations into dog and pony shows, and they're really not terribly helpful. They're not a search for information; they're a search for clicks.
Yeah. All right, guys, it's 12:20. I should get going. Guys, if you haven't gone and watched the video that I posted today, interviewed Adam Dunnigan. Those who said hello, I saw back. Driving only, rely on red, white. No worries, Shug. If you haven't watched the video with Adam Dunnigan talking about Iran, check it out. It's a good interview, I think. I tried to ask some deeper questions, and I mean, we could have gone a lot longer than we did. He actually, for those of you that know Destiny, the content creator, later that day, he actually went on Destiny's live to talk with him, which is pretty cool. A much bigger platform than I got. But yeah, so please go check it out. Share it with people. Anything that can help, not only help him because he's got his primary in 6 days, but they can help this community. Follow over on the tube, over on Twitch, over here on TikTok. Watch the stuff, share it. I appreciate you all. Thank you for everyone that gave. It helps more than you possibly can know. You guys are amazing, just the way you are. And I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile. Do something that makes you happy. Bye, guys.